Hey everyone, so in this video, I'm going to show you how we automated the entire content process for an SEO agency using a 15-agent AI team. Now, we built this system for an agency that specializes in SEO for e-commerce brands, and I can honestly say it's one of the crazier builds we've done. Now, you might be thinking, why use 15 AI agents when I can create a blog post in 3 seconds with ChatGPT? It's because this system actually takes care of the entire content process. So it does in-depth research on the topics, the keywords, the competitors, the top-ranked articles. It writes content briefs. It then writes the article in the brand's tone of voice. It also has access to the company's database of products. It can add links to the content. It can then publish the content on the client's website with FAQs, tables, and images. And besides just blog posts, it can also write and publish product review pages, product description pages, category pages, and even landing pages. And in this video, I'll give you a demo and a breakdown of the system so you can learn how you can build something like this yourself. Now, if you don't know me yet, I'm Ben. I've been implementing AI automation and AI agents into businesses since 2023. I also run a community with over 3,000 members now. And if you're a business looking to adopt AI and solutions like these into your business, you can also book us in for a free call in the description below. Now, very quickly, before I show you a demo and a breakdown of the entire system, I want to give you a little bit more context on the client. Right. So the client was an SEO agency for fashion e-commerce brands. And actually, we built this system already for them a few months ago. Now, I purposely waited to showcase this tutorial because one very common objection we get is that AI content doesn't rank on Google. Now, we don't believe that's true yet. So we wanted to wait until this client had actually implemented it with a few clients. And now we actually have some proof. Now, of course, the agency didn't want to actually mention the clients' names. I think they haven't even disclosed fully the entire system they're running in the background for them, but they were kind enough to provide us with some of the screenshots of the results of the 3 clients they implemented it with. So I guess they first started implementing it with one of their smaller clients, probably as a little bit of a test for themselves too. So you can see here the yellow highlight. They started implementing it for the client, and by then the client had around 150, 125 clicks a day. And you can see clicks and impressions both grew quite a lot over the last 3 months. And they're now on around 300 clicks a day. Same for the second client. I can see also a little bit of a smaller client they were at around 125 clicks when they started implementing the system, and it sort of grew steadily, and they're now at around 300 clicks. And then I guess later when they had some experience, they actually implemented it with one of their bigger clients. And as you can see, there's quite a steep curve here, which is, it went from like 750 clicks a day to almost 2,000. Now, is this only because of the system? Probably not. There are seasonal changes, month by month changes, depends on the industry, of course, too. But the client told us that the biggest impact this system made is just the output volume, right? So they are actually very happy with it. So for perspective, they said that they traditionally, could output around 150 pieces of content every 2.5 months, because of course they work with content writers at around $50 per piece of content. Now with this system, they can actually produce up to 150 pieces of content a day at $1.50 per piece of content. So you can imagine it can have quite a big impact, especially if volume is important, which I think, from my understanding, in e-commerce, volume is very important for getting the amount of clicks. Now, let me give you a breakdown of the system and give you a demo, right? So before starting, we built this system in Relevance AI and Make.com. If you don't know Relevance AI and Make.com, Relevance AI is basically a no-code AI agent builder, and we can build these multi-agent systems like you can see in this one. And Make.com is a more traditional automation platform, and we use those to make some of the integrations to third-party software a little bit easier. For example, we have a post to Webflow tool here, or post to WordPress, where I can actually publish it onto the client's website. Then we use Make.com to make the integration with some of these platforms a little bit easier. Now, if you're completely new to these platforms, they're both completely no code. I'll make sure to put the links in the description below too. You can start out for free with both of these platforms. But as you can see, this system is a little bit more complex. It looks more complex than it is. But if this goes over your head and you're completely new to this, I do have some other tutorials on both of these platforms that are a little bit more beginner friendly if this goes over your head. I'll make sure to link them up here too. So how's this system set up? Here we basically have the trigger, and the client can basically trigger it from their ClickUp, right? Their CRM. Now I don't have ClickUp, so I've replicated it for myself on Airtable. Um, but from here, basically, we put in the requirements and that gets sent to the SEO director. Now, why do I call it a director? Because actually, in this system, as you can see, it's a multi-layered agent system. So we have a director, we have a manager, and we have sub-agents, right? So it's a three-layered agent system. So I call this the director, these the managers, and these the sub-agents. So let me show you a quick example, right? So here we have the CRM trigger, and I'm going to show you how that works. So I just replicated this system for myself again, because I couldn't show the actual client's build right now. Anyone who's tried to copy my templates knows it's not as easy as copy and paste. So just a disclaimer, this demo is not going to have all the features that the client had, because I didn't want to spend a week on recreating the entire thing. So it doesn't have all the features, but it will give you a very good idea of how the system is set up. And in the system breakdown, I'll give you the full setup for the client, right? So basically what we have here is the client, right? So all we have to do is there fill out the link or the URL of the client, right? Then the topic we want to write about, right? So I just put in 3 examples here, right? I just replicated it quickly for Nike.com, right? So we have the topic, in this case, best Nike male running shoes, right? The type of content, right? As you can see, they can actually generate 5 different types of content, right? Either product reviews, you can either have a top list, right? 5 or 10 comparison between 5 or 10 products, or a product review on one, right? We have product description, just like a product description of a normal product, right? Just like this, for example. This would be the product description of an e-commerce, right? Very important, of course, and a lot of time goes into creating those. Then we have a category description, right? Which was new to me, but apparently is very important in ranking and conversions. Apparently, if you don't know what a category description is, it's basically, I'll put it here, like here we have Foot Locker, for example. So here we have a category, right? Nike sneakers. And here at the bottom, these websites usually have a category description, because this makes it rank a lot better. And apparently these pages, they convert very well. So this is basically a category description. And then we also have the option for a blog post and landing page, right? Then they can decide the language, right? Or even multiple languages if they want. Then we have keywords. Now, in their original system, it could actually do research and find the best keywords through SEMrush. Now, in my replicated system, I don't have that, because I don't have SEMrush, and it's actually pretty expensive. So I put it in myself, but in their original one, it actually did a keyword analysis to find the most highest ROI keywords for specific topics, right? Then we also have competitors. Now, the system will also find competitors automatically. But if you have a specific competitor in mind or whatever, you can put it in here. And then you have notes to give it some additional context or requirements if you need to. For example, this one I have, write a top list for these 5 shoes, right? So I put in the shoes they have to write the product reviews about, right? And then basically from there, they can trigger it, right? So I can trigger it right now, because it will take a little bit before this is actually created and posted onto the client's website. And I'll give you a breakdown of the system in the meantime. So all they have to do, and they can do multiple at the same time, is just click here to start generating the content, right? So if I go back to the system, right? So basically, as you can see here from the CRM, it gets triggered to the SEO director, right? We have the client, the topic, the type of post, language, keywords, which is optional, right? And the competitors are also optional, right? Now, the SEO director basically has 3 responsibilities, right? And the first and the big one, of course, is orchestrating so this whole setup and making sure he passes all the right information through the right to the right agents, right? The second one is updating our CRM with the finalized content, the content brief, etc. And the last one is actually, when the whole content production is done, to post it onto the client's website. Now, there we actually have a few options, right? We have a post to Webflow if the client's page is built on Webflow, post to WordPress, post to Magento, I think, and post to Shopify, right? So that's the responsibilities of the SEO director. And basically this system, you can see, we've basically recreated as much as possible the actual workflow for content creation for SEO agencies. So as you can see here, there's quite a lot of agents, and it is simpler than it looks, right? So the first step in the content process is research, right? So that's why we have a research manager agent here. And this is a manager agent because he actually has 3 sub agents. Now, this manager agent basically gets instructed by the director agent, right? With sort of the inputs, right? The topic, all the things we put in the Airtable, basically. And this research manager agent has 2 main responsibilities, which is the first one, again, delegating the task to the 3 sub agents. And the second one is evaluation, right? So basically, he's checking the work of these 3 sub agents to make sure they've done their research comprehensively enough, right? And this is sort of the advantage to building these multi-layered agent systems. We can have sort of these control agents, right? That can make sure that everything's done what should be done by these sub agents of them. And if not, they can even send it back and tell them to do more research or more comprehensive research, right? So those are the 2 responsibilities. And in practice, that basically looks like this. First, he will go to the keyword agent, right? And the keyword agent will have access to 2 tools. The first one is an SEMrush keyword research tool. Now, again, I don't have this in my build that I replicated because I don't have SEMrush, but basically there it takes the topic and tries to find the most ROI, the best ROI keywords for that topic, meaning the highest volume and easiest to rank keywords, right? So it'll try to find the best keywords for this topic. And then the second thing it will do is it will find the top ranked articles for that specific keyword, right? To basically see what is our competition. Right now, it will report that back to the manager agent, to the research manager agent, who then instructs the topic research agent to do an in-depth research on the specific topic and keyword, right? So basically, this agent has access to Google search, web scraping, and Perplexity to basically get a really comprehensive sort of research on the topic. So we can use that later when we actually write the content, right? So he does the topic research. And then the last step is the competitor research agent, who basically analyzes the top ranked articles for that keyword, analyzes, scrapes all those pages, analyzes it, and sort of looks at what could we potentially do to outrank these guys, right? So it does a competitor research analysis, right? It sends it all back to the manager agent. He looks at the full report of the 3 sub agents, checks if it's comprehensive enough that all the details are included. If not, he'll send it back and make sure it is included. And if it is, he'll send it back to the SEO director, right? Now, as you can see, this is very much sort of if you're in content, right, it's very much sort of the actual workflow of creating SEO content, right? Now, the second step is to create a content brief based on the research analysis. Now, if you don't know what a content brief is, it's basically a brief with all the details, which usually companies give to their writers, with all the details of what should be included and taken into account before writing this article, right? So I'll give you a quick example here. Basically, it just includes sort of a summary of the research we've just done, right? The target audience, right? The keywords, the structure of the article, the key points to address, right? And maybe some ideas for the internal and external links and a competitor analysis, right? Just to get a better idea on, just to make sure that the content is written as good as possible. Right now, you can see this is also a manager agent. He has 5 sub agents. Now, basically, we have a sub agent for each type of content, right? Because so we have a blog post briefer, we have a category page briefer, we have a landing page briefer, a product review briefer, and a product description briefer, right? So, because of course, these briefs for each of the types of pages look a little bit different. So in practice, he'll just choose what the type of content is and therefore then delegate it to the right sub agent. He'll create the brief. Again, he makes sure that everything's included in the brief, that it's good. And in the client's system, actually, this content briefer will first send it back to the SEO director, who will then update the CRM with the content brief. Now, that's actually sort of a human in the loop step. So the agency can then actually check. Now, in my case, I didn't have that, but I didn't put it in this system again because it's very hard to replicate this entire system. If you've copied any of my templates, you know it's not as easy as copy and paste. So basically, they could first check the content brief, could add things, change things if they want to, and then actually decide to write and publish the post, right? So it's an additional sort of check for the SEO agency, right? So if I go back, right, let's say the content brief is written, is good, then we go to the actual creation of the content. Right now, there we have basically two steps still, or three steps actually, which the first one is the content drafter, right? So he makes the first sort of initial version of the article. Right now, he's also equipped there with a database with some blog examples of each of the different categories for each of the type of clients. Why? Because basically that's how it gets more context on the tone of voice, the brand, and some examples. As if you've worked with LLMs, you know, examples always improve the output, right? So basically you can get one or two examples from that company for that specific type of content to write a better content draft. So he writes the content draft, and then the last step is to write the finalized content piece, right? So here you can see we have 5 agents, and again, we have a different agent for each of the different types of content, right? So we have a category page writer, a product review writer, etc. Right? So let's say in this case it's a blog post, right? He gets the content draft, and his job is basically to uh, put the finalized sort of blog post together, right? So therefore, we have equipped him with a few extra tools, which is first of all, and this is interesting, a product database, right? So basically, we have a database of all the products of the company. So let's say there's a mention of the product, it can then actually pull the information from those products. So for example, it can get images from those products, it can get the links from those products to get internal links inside of the article. It can also get the brand identity from the website, right? It can even get stock photos if there are no relevant pictures in the product database where it has nothing to do with the product. It can also get stock photos and put them in. So basically, he creates the finalized version. Now, again, in the client setup, they even have one more agent here, which is a backlink agent. And that agent actually puts external backlinks into the article. And again, we used SEMrush, SEMrush for that. I don't have it, so I left this agent out in my demo. But basically, this one puts in those external backlinks. And then the finalized version will then be sent back to the SEO director and posted to the website and updated to the CRO. So as you can see, quite an extensive or complex setup. But again, like not all agents are, of course, involved in each of the workflows, right? As you can see, we have lots of agents for each of the different types of categories. So it might look a little bit more complex than it actually is. But I think it's an interesting use case for these sort of multi-layered agent systems. And then, of course, the SEO director will, in my case, post it to Webflow. Now, let's check if it was generated. So go back to Airtable. Let's check. So as a disclaimer, this is, of course, done on my own website, which is obviously not an e-commerce website. So it might not look the prettiest, but you get an idea. So it was generated, as you can see. So here we get the title. Here there's nothing, of course, because normally I have a video here for myself, which is not relatable. But you can see top 5 best Nike running shoes. This is still from my old website, get the free templates. But you can see here, top 5 best Nike running shoes for outdoor enthusiasts, right? We get the products, right? And as you can see, we even get these images, right? Which is pulled from that product database, right? And that's the cool thing, I think. We got the key features, the specification, the price even, right? Uh, and that's it. Now, again, right, this doesn't look the prettiest because, of course, my website it's not perfectly adapted for this type of content, but you get the idea, right? And we get tables, as you can see too. Normally I have a FAQ too, but you have to put that in separately. Again, my website's not made for that, right? And we can see here, actually the other 2 are generated too. So let's check. So here we have which content is this? The blog post, right? Mastering your outdoor running technique, tips for every runner, right? Again, here you can see it took stock photos actually, right? Posture, improving your running form, right? So put in images, as you can see, conclusion, etc. Right? So you can see, right? It's not the prettiest, of course, but it's just a quick demo, right? And here we have the last one, which is the category reviews. These ones shouldn't have images, right? Because as I showed you before, that's something like this, right? You don't want to have images here. You already have a category page. So let me show you that one. As you can see, uh, it put in some shoes too, which is apparently a good thing to do in the category pages, right? And you can see the FAQs here are ugly because you actually have to put that in your design, right? Which I don't have, but you get the idea, right? And you get the potential of this system. So let me show you right now how this actually works inside of Relevance AI and in Make.com. So let me open Relevance AI. So you can see we have the SEO director and we have the three posts that we just generated. Now, this is going to be a little bit different than my other tutorials. I won't go in detail, step by step through each of the agents and each of the tools, because that would literally be probably 5 or 6 hours. And the second reason is we're also actually implementing this system for more clients. And that's also why I'm not giving away the template for free this time. But I'll give you a quick breakdown of how this works in the background. So for example, here we have the blog post, right? So here we get the trigger, right? With all the information from Airtable. Now what I can do is I can show you after I go through this, I can show you quickly that how that trigger is set up from Airtable to Relevance AI, because I think that's a very useful sort of trigger to have, because giving clients or people a dashboard in Airtable to manage the workflows can be very useful. So after going through this, I'll show you quickly the Airtable setup, and I'll give you away that blueprint at least. And second, I'll also give you the link of the overview right here in Figma. So that should give you a pretty good idea of how you can set this up yourself. Anyway, let me get through it. So you can see here in the background, it performed 8 steps. So first, it delegated it to the research team manager, right? And you can see here what it did, right? So basically, it prompted the research team manager, right, to do research, right? So gave it all the information about this new article, right? We need a comprehensive research report, etc. Right? It even finishes with best regards, very formal SEO team. But yes, and you see in the background our research team manager agent uh, delegated it to the topic research agent, to the competitor research agent, to do the research on those. And of course, because I don't have SEMrush, we don't have the keyword agent in this case. So if I show you here, this agent we don't have. So I actually gave the find top ranked articles a tool to the research manager agent. So as you can see here, he did that himself, right? He found the top ranked articles. So you can see he found the top ranked articles for the keyword. Right now, the topic research does an in-depth research on the topic. Right now, again, in my setup, I don't have Perplexity set up because I don't have Perplexity API and it's $50, and I don't want to pay $50 only for the demo. But you can see in the background, it did the Google search and web scraping to find more information on a specific topic. Right, you can see here he did a more in-depth research on the topic, reported that back to the research team manager, who then also delegated it to the competitor researcher, who basically started scraping all the top ranked articles to find opportunities on how we can rank better, right? So you can see again, right, this is the prompt from the research manager agent to the competitor research agent, right? And he started scraping these websites in the background, right? And giving a breakdown of all the different competitors. Right now, that was the research team manager takes that research data, sends it back to the SEO director, right? Who then delegates it to the content brief manager, right? With all the research information included, of course, right? You can see. And in the background, then the content brief manager agent delegates it to the right brief creator, right? In this case, to the blog post, content brief blog post creator, right? And you can see you got prompted there, and here it created the content brief for this one. And again, the brief manager sends that back to the SEO director, who then goes to the next step, which is the content drafter, right? Making the initial content draft, right? So again, he basically sends him the content brief, right, with all the research data, etc. And he writes the first initial version of the blog post, right? And then lastly, in this case, to the final version of the blog post, which is the team blog content writer. So you can see here, in this case, it's a blog post. So let's see what they did in the background. So you can see he used the get stock images tool here to get stock images. So you can see, use some keywords to find uh, stock photos for this blog article. Then we have the final version. And then the last step, of course, is to post it to my website, in my case, Webflow. Now you can see there's actually an error here. Now this is sometimes the advantage, because sometimes these systems run into errors. And this is the advantage sometimes of these agents, because they can actually start redoing it until it actually works. And you can see in the last time it did actually work. So here we have the finalized version, right? So sorry, that's the system. You can see in the end, it gives you the article here too. So maybe I can show you quickly in the product reviews. There will actually go into the database of products, right, to find sort of the product review, right? So to actually find images of the specific products, right? So you can see here this agent actually used to retrieve data about products, right? Now, and there it actually uses sort of a vector data search to find the relevant products for this article. Now that's a quick setup. Lastly, let me show you quickly in make.com how I set up that Airtable trigger, because I think it's very useful for many other builds too. So Airtable. So here we go. So basically what we have to do is we have to set up a webhook, right? So in my case, I have the trigger set up whenever this checkbox is checked, right? So how do we do that? First of all, in Airtable, you do need the team plan, which is $20 a month, I think, to set up these automations, right? But what you do is you go here to the automation tab, right? And there we actually have to put in the condition first of when to trigger, in this case, when send is checked, right? And I also added in another one if the website link or the Google Drive link is, the Google Docs link is empty still, right? Because if it's already there, then we don't need to trigger that one. So that's sort of the trigger. And then in an action, we actually have to choose run script, right? And that's why we have to have the team plan, because we can only use that feature on the team plan. So we do the run script, and there basically we're going to trigger the webhook in make.com, right? So how do we do that here in the edit code? I'll make sure to put this piece of code there too, because you can literally use this, right? And all you will have to do is change this URL to your webhook URL in make.com. So what you do is you create a custom webhook here, right, in make.com. You get that link here and you put that in here in the hook URL. I'll make sure to put this script too in my free community too. And then all you do here is type in record ID, exactly like here. And then you choose here what you send over. So in this case, the Airtable record ID. So we're only sending over the record ID to make to this webhook, right? And basically then we get that record ID, and then we can use a module in Airtable, in the Airtable model, which is called get a record. And all we do there is put in the record ID, and then it will give us all of the information for that specific row, right? And then, of course, we use the HTTP module to actually trigger our Relevance AI agent. I actually explain it in some of my beginner tutorials in more detail. So if you're interested in figuring that out, check out one of my other videos. I'll make sure to link them up here too. Anyway, not as detailed as my normal tutorials. I hope you can understand why, but I thought it was still a very interesting use case to show you guys what's possible with these agent systems. And if you're still watching, thank you so much. I really appreciate all the great comments and likes I'm getting. So thank you guys for that. I'm planning to make a lot more videos in the upcoming weeks, and a lot more step-by-step breakdowns too, free templates, etc. So I'll get back to that type of content very soon. Thank you guys again, and see you in the next one.